5 sailboats. All of them are still being sold new or on the used market right now, and every single one is a money pit waiting to happen. Some have design problems that will cost you tens of thousands to fix. Some have such bad reputations that insurance companies won't touch them. And one has a flaw so serious that even experienced sailors won't step on board to look at it. These aren't old boats with worn-out gear. These are current models, recently built, that brokers avoid and surveyors flag as soon as they see the name on the stern. We're counting down the 5 worst sailboats you could buy in 2026. Not because they look bad, not because they're slow, but because owning one will cost you more money, more stress, and more sleepless nights than any boat should. Which one has left more owners stranded at sea than any other in the last 10 years? Let's find out. Number 5. Beneteau Oceanis 30.1. The Beneteau Oceanis 30.1 looks great in photos. It looks even better at the boat show with the lighting just right and the sales guy telling you about the innovative deck layout and the spacious interior. And then you buy it. And 6 months later, you understand why experienced sailors warned you. The problem is not one thing, it is everything. This boat was designed by a committee that cared more about selling units at boat shows than building something that would last. The hull is a lightweight sandwich construction with foam core that saves weight and cuts production costs. That sounds smart until water finds its way into that core through a poorly sealed fitting or a stress crack. Then, the foam soaks it up and the hull starts delaminating from the inside. Surveyors see this on Oceanis models from just 5 or 6 years ago. Soft spots in the hull, moisture readings through the roof, and a repair bill that exceeds the resale value of the boat. The deck is the same story. Balsa core throughout with hundreds of fittings screwed through it. Every single one is a potential leak point, and Beneteau's quality control on bedding and sealing those fittings is inconsistent at best. Once the core gets wet, you are looking at sections of deck that need to be cut out, dried, rebuilt, and reglassed. On a 30-foot boat, that job runs $8,000 to $15,000, and it tanks the resale value because every buyer who knows what they are looking at will walk away the moment a surveyor finds moisture in the deck. The rig is another problem. The chain plates are bolted to the deck rather than through-bolted to structural members in the hull. That is a cost-saving move that works fine in calm conditions. But when the boat is heeled over in 25 knots and the rig is loaded up, those chain plates are pulling against the deck structure. Over time, the bolt holes elongate, the deck compresses, and you start getting movement and flex where there should be none. Some owners have reported chain plate failures within the first 5 years. That is not a maintenance issue. That is a design flaw. The interior is all about maximizing space for the boat show. But the moment you try to use the boat offshore, or even in moderate coastal conditions, you realize nothing is built to take the abuse. Cabinet doors pop open, drawers slide out. The table flexes and wobbles. This is furniture, not boat joinery. Here is the real problem. Beneteau Oceanis 30.1 ES are depreciating faster than almost any other boat in their size range. A 2-year-old boat is selling for 30 to 40% less than it cost new. That is car-level depreciation. The market has figured out that these boats do not last. Buyers are wary, surveyors are flagging them, and sellers are stuck holding a boat that nobody wants. If you are watching this before you make a buying decision, hit the like button. This kind of honest breakdown does not come from brokers or manufacturers. It comes from sailors who have seen these boats fail. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe. I am not here to sell you anything. I am here to keep you from making expensive mistakes. Number 4. Hunter 33. The Hunter 33 has been in production on and off for years under different ownership groups and with different builders, and that is part of the problem. Quality control has been inconsistent. Some hulls were built well, others were rushed out the door to meet sales targets, and as a buyer, you have no way to know which one you are looking at until a surveyor starts digging. The hull design itself is controversial. The B&B rig with the flat deck and the massive beam was innovative when it came out, but it creates handling characteristics that a lot of experienced sailors do not trust. The boat is initially stiff, which feels stable in light air, but once it gets beyond a certain angle of heel, the stability curve flattens out fast. That means if the boat does get knocked down in heavy weather, it does not have the righting moment to bring itself back up quickly. Some owners report that the boat feels tender and unpredictable in conditions over 20 knots. The deck is cored with balsa, and a lot of the hardware was installed at the factory without proper bedding or backing plates. Water gets in, the core gets wet, and within a few years you have soft spots around the stanchion bases, the winches, and the mast step. Fixing this is not cheap. You are cutting out sections of deck, replacing the core, and reglassing. And every time you fix one spot, another one shows up 6 months later. The keel on some Hunter 33 models is a swing keel or a retractable centerboard. That adds complexity and it adds risk. Some owners have reported keel bolts backing out or the lifting cable fraying and failing. If that keel drops while you are underway, or if it jams and will not retract, you have a serious problem. The interior is spacious and bright, which is great for living aboard at the dock, but it is not built for offshore use. The bulkheads are non-structural. They are screwed to the hull liner rather than being tabbed in as structural members. That saves weight and it saves cost, but it also means the boat flexes and moves in ways that a properly built cruiser should not. Some owners report creaking and groaning sounds when the boat is underway in a seaway. The rig is deck-stepped, which is lighter and easier to maintain. But on a boat this size, with this much sail area, a deck-stepped mast puts a huge compression load on the deck and the cabin top. Over time, that load can cause the deck to compress around the mast step. Some boats develop a permanent indentation. Others develop cracks radiating out from the mast base. Here is the bottom line. Hunter 33s are cheap on the used market. You can find them for $30,000 to $60,000, but they are cheap because the market knows what they are. Boats that were built to a price point rather than a quality standard. Boats that are fine for light use at the dock but fall apart when you try to use them the way a cruising sailboat is supposed to be used. Number 3. Jeanneau Sun Odyssey 319. The Jeanneau Sun Odyssey 319 is the boat that makes surveyors shake their heads. Not because it is unsafe, but because it is built so lightly and so cheaply that it starts falling apart within the first few years, and the owners are left holding a boat that nobody wants to insure and nobody wants to buy. The hull is a lightweight sandwich construction with foam core. Jeanneau uses this to save weight and to save money. The problem is that foam core is not durable. It does not handle impact well. It does not handle stress well, and when water gets into it, it turns into mush. Surveyors who inspect Sun Odyssey models routinely find soft spots in the hull, particularly around the keel area and near the chain plates where loads are concentrated. Fixing it requires cutting out large sections of hull, replacing the core, and reglassing. On a boat this size, that job runs $12,000 to $20,000, and most buyers will not touch a boat with a history of delamination even after it has been repaired. The deck is balsa cored with a ridiculous number of fittings screwed through it. Jeanneau's approach to deck hardware is to drill holes and screw things down without proper backing plates or sufficient bedding compound. The result is that water finds its way into the core within the first few years. Moisture meters light up all over the deck, and surveyors write reports that kill the deal. The rudder system on the 319 is another known problem. The rudder is attached with a stock that runs through a tube in the hull. That tube is supposed to be sealed, but on a lot of boats, the seal fails. Water gets into the tube, the steel rudder stock starts corroding, and eventually, you have play and slop in the rudder that makes the boat hard to steer. Some owners have reported complete rudder failures where the stock sheared off or the bearing seized up. That is a catastrophic failure that leaves you drifting with no steering. The rigging on the 319 is undersized for the sail plan. Jeanneau uses lighter wire and smaller turnbuckles to save weight and cost. That works fine in light air. But when the wind builds and you are carrying full sail, the rig is loaded up to the edge of its capacity. Some owners have reported spreader failures, turnbuckle failures, and even shroud failures in conditions that should not have caused those problems. Here is the real kicker. Insurance companies are starting to decline coverage on Jeanneau Sun Odyssey models, especially the older ones. Underwriters have seen enough claims for delamination, rudder failures, and rig failures that they do not want the exposure anymore. Some insurers will write a policy but with huge exclusions that make the coverage almost worthless. Others will just flat out decline. And if you cannot get insurance, you cannot keep the boat in a marina. Jeanneau Sun Odyssey 319s are cheap on the used market. You can find them for $20,000 to $40,000. But they are cheap because nobody wants them. And the people who do buy them end up spending more fixing them than they paid for the boat in the first place. If this kind of no BS breakdown is helping you avoid expensive mistakes, hit subscribe. This channel is built on one principle. Tell the truth even when it costs views. More videos like this are coming. Number 2. McGregor 26M. The McGregor 26M is not a sailboat. It is a trailer sailer with delusions of grandeur, and it is one of the most dangerous boats on the water today. The design is fundamentally flawed. The boat has a swing keel that retracts into the hull for trailering. That sounds convenient. But it also means the boat has almost no ballast. The entire stability depends on water ballast tanks that you fill when you launch and empty when you haul out. That is fine in calm water. But the moment the wind picks up or you get into any kind of seaway, the boat becomes unstable and unpredictable. The motion is violent. The boat pounds and slams. And if you take a wave over the side, that water ends up in the cockpit, and the boat does not have the freeboard or the stability to shed it quickly. Some McGregors have capsized in conditions that would not have bothered a properly designed cruising sailboat. The hull is thin fiberglass. Really thin. You can flex the hull with your hand in some spots, The hull is so lightly built that it feels like a plastic toy. And when you hit a wave or a piece of floating debris, the hull flexes and absorbs the impact in ways that make you question whether the boat is going to stay in one piece. The deck is even worse. It is unsupported in large areas. There is no structural grid underneath. Walk across the deck and it flexes under your weight. Lean against the lifelines and the stanchions wobble because they are screwed into an unsupported deck with no backing plates. The rig is a joke. The mast is deck-stepped with no keel step support. The chain plates are bolted to the deck with minimal reinforcement. The shrouds and stays are undersized, and the mast itself is a thin-walled aluminum extrusion that flexes and bends under load. Some owners have reported mast failures where the mast buckled or the spreaders collapsed in conditions that should not have caused that kind of failure. The real danger with the McGregor 26M is that it markets itself as a cruising sailboat. The company shows pictures of the boat offshore. They make it sound like this is a capable blue water boat, and it is not. This is a day sailor, a boat for calm inland lakes and protected bays. And when inexperienced buyers take it offshore because they believe the marketing, bad things happen. The Coast Guard has responded to multiple distress calls from McGregor 26s that got into trouble because the boat was in conditions it was never designed to handle. Insurance companies know this. A lot of underwriters will not write policies on McGregor 26s at all. Others will write a policy but only for use in protected waters with huge exclusion. And if you do get into trouble and you need to make a claim, the insurer is going to look very carefully at where you were and what you were doing. McGregor 26. Enduspaititin sell for $10,000 to $25,000 on the used market. They look like a bargain. They are not. They are a liability, and if you value your safety and your financial security, you will stay far away. Number 1. Catalina 250. The Catalina 250 earns the number 1 spot because it combines every problem we have talked about so far into one boat. Lightweight construction, poor quality control, inadequate structural support, and a rudder system so badly designed that it has failed catastrophically on multiple boats, leaving sailors stranded and in some cases sinking. The hull is a lightweight sandwich construction with foam core. Catalina uses this to keep costs down and to keep the boat light enough to trailer. But the core delaminates. Surveyors find soft spots in the hull on boats that are only 3 or 4 years old, and the repair costs exceed the value of the boat. Buyers walk away, insurance companies decline coverage, and owners are stuck with a boat they cannot sell and cannot afford to fix. The deck is balsa cord with poor quality control on the bedding and sealing of fittings. Water gets in, the core rots. And within a few years, you have a deck that feels spongy underfoot and shows moisture everywhere a surveyor puts a meter on. But the real killer is the rudder. The Catalina 250 uses a transom-hung rudder attached with pintles and gudgeons. That is a simple system that works fine on dinghies and small day sailors. But on a 25-foot cruising sailboat that is supposed to be capable of coastal cruising, it is inadequate. The pintles and gudgeons are undersized. The rudder itself is lightweight fiberglass with minimal internal structure. And under load, the whole system flexes and bends in ways that make steering vague and unpredictable. The real problem is that the rudder fails. Not sometimes. Not rarely. It fails often enough that there are multiple reports of Catalina 250 rudders breaking off completely while underway. The pintles pull out of the gudgeons, the rudder blade cracks and falls apart, or the entire assembly shears off the transom and the boat is left with no steering. That is a catastrophic failure, and it has happened in coastal waters in moderate conditions with no warning. Some of these boats have had to be towed in, others have been abandoned. And in at least one case that made it into Coast Guard reports, the boat started taking on water after the rudder failure and had to be rescued. Catalina has not issued a recall. They have not acknowledged a design flaw. They have not offered to retrofit the boats with a stronger rudder system. They have just kept selling them, and buyers keep buying them because the price is low and the marketing is good. And then a year or two later, those buyers are dealing with the consequences. Insurance companies are catching on. Some underwriters are declining to write policies on Catalina 200s and 50s. Others are writing policies but adding exclusions for rudder failure or for use outside protected waters. And if you do have a rudder failure and you need to make a claim, the insurer is going to investigate whether this was a known issue that you should have been aware of. And if they decide it was, the claim is denied. Catalina 250 Lias are selling for $15,000 to $35,000 on the used market. They look like an affordable entry into sailing. They are not. They are a nightmare waiting to happen. And if you buy one, you are taking a risk with your safety, your money, and your future on the water. Here is the bottom line. The Catalina 250 is the worst sailboat you can buy in 2026. Not because it is ugly, not because it is uncomfortable, but because it is fundamentally unsafe. Stay away from this boat. Tell your friends to stay away from this boat. And if you see one listed for what looks like a great deal, remember that there is no such thing as a cheap boat. There are only boats that cost you less upfront and more later. And the Catalina 250 will cost you more than you can imagine. 5 boats, all of them still on the market, all of them financial and safety disasters waiting to happen. The common thread is not that they are old or neglected. It is that they were designed and built to a price point rather than a quality standard. Lightweight construction saves money. Undersized rigging saves money. Skipping structural reinforcement saves money. And all of those cost savings get passed on to you as problems that cost thousands to fix and destroy resale value. The used boat market is full of traps. Boats that look great in photos, boats that seem like bargains, boats that sales guys will tell you are perfect for your needs, and most of them are fine. But these 5 are not. These 5 will cost you more than you saved within the first year. And they will leave you stranded, stressed, and wondering why nobody warned you. If this video saved you from making one of these mistakes, hit the like button and share it with someone who is boat shopping right now. They need to see this. And if you want more honest, no BS breakdowns of what works and what does not in the sailing world, subscribe. This channel does not take sponsorships from manufacturers. I do not get paid to say nice things about boats that do not deserve it. I am here to tell you the truth, even when it is uncomfortable. What boat did I miss? What model do you think belongs on this list? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear from sailors who have lived through these nightmares. Your experience might save someone else from the same mistake.